For the developments in France and the implications, let me turn to Tomasz Michalski. He's an associate professor of economics at the HEC Business School in Paris. Professor, Macron says he will not budge. The protesters say they will not budge. Is there any room for compromise with each side basically holding on to their position?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. So, unfortunately, the room for compromise, the window for doing that has closed. Now the law is sitting with the Constitutional Court, and it's going to be debated whether the procedure that was used to pass it was constitutional or not. And there's a possibility that it's going to be struck down. If not, this is a legal procedure. The law is going to be implemented. As for the strikes, they're probably going to continue for some time. It's not every day, but eventually they're just going to scale back down, most likely.
Well, I think that's what the government is hoping. What happens if these strikes and the anger and the frustration does not ease? What happens then, and how much of a problem does that pose to the government of Emmanuel Macron, which is clearly in crisis mode?
Well, it is. You're right. So the first thing is that there is a high likelihood that the protests are going to die out. People, when they strike, they don't get paid. It's a difficult time period for the French, as many other Europeans and people in the world, because of soaring inflation. There's not also much enthusiasm for protesting. I know that today there was a mass mobilization, but it isn't really every day. People are getting tired of this also among the other parts of the population. Answering to the second part of your question, it is true that the prospects of Emmanuel Macron continuing reforms are bleak. The one solution would be to dissolve the parliament and call new elections. It doesn't seem that this would solve any stalemate. Going forward, this could be limping on, using the same type of a procedure in the future to pass any other reforms, for example, labor reform, something on education.
Well, let me ask you this, Professor. I mean, is this precisely or specifically about raising the retirement age? 2 years. We're talking about 2 years, from 62 to 64. Something like that can cause so much anger? 2 years.
So first of all, traditionally, the retirement pension reform strikes were the strongest in 95 or 2010. That's number one. Number two, I think there's a conflagration with a lot of other unrest. I would say that it didn't find a good issue for the time being. For example, against the rising costs of living. Also, the problem is that this reform was a little bit imposed upon the people, and it wasn't explained why this needs to be done exactly now, exactly here.
Understood.
And the reason was political. Macron was looking for a coalition with the right-wing party. He didn't in the end get it, and he is in an impasse.
Yeah, and then, of course, they pushed it through Parliament without a vote. We'll have to leave it there. Professor Tomasz Michalski,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.